fantastic stuff from Rick there. Now, fish, and that fish doesn't get any fresher. Now, I haven't been fishing, but what I have been doing is out into my garden again. I've got some of these little blackberries over here. Now, you can get a variety of different blackberries. They're on bushes on the side of the road now. But if you're going to grow your own, go for these. These are Loch Ness blackberries, these big, massive ones. And the reason why these are good, they don't have any thorns on the plant. So when you're growing them at home, there you go. You don't get cut to ribbons.
That is planned.
That's your plant. So anyway, we're just going to put these in, because I'm going to do a classic little dessert called a little apple charlotte. So we're just going to crush these down. They only want a couple of seconds. Meanwhile, I'm going to line this little Darien mold with some bread. So 2 pieces of bread, 1 circle for the top, which will become the bottom, and obviously that one, and then just a couple of oblongs, which we've got in there. Now, busy year for you, because obviously we mentioned Merlin. Now, that's for the younger generation, but the older generation will know you from...
Buffy.
Well, that,
yeah.
But then the old coffee adverts.
Oh, that old thing, yeah.
Because, no, I'm saying, it was quite a... I mean, it was ahead of its time, really, wasn't it? Because it was a storyline.
Yeah, it was groundbreaking, and it's been copied many times since. But actually, it was in itself a copy of the old brandy advert that with oranges ripened in the sun,
right?
Which basically turned everybody on, and they went, "Oh, why don't we make it? Why don't we do it? Sort of plan a story." So that's the way it went. But it took me to the States, which was amazing.
Yeah, tell us about that, because literally you went to... Did you have anything planned when you were in the States? Or
no,
just
not at all. Yeah, you can't. I mean, the bottom line was it limited people's perception of me in England, and it opened some doors in the States. So my partner Sarah said, "Look, I think it's time to go and test the water out there." And I went out and got an agent, and the first gig I got out there was a thing called VR5. I only went for 30 naps and didn't get picked up. But then after a while, up came Buffy, which was the most extraordinary good fortune.
Yeah.
You know, the problem is you never know if you're going to, if your profile is going to die because you're just in the States. But I was hoping that it would be. Sorry, I'm fascinated by what you're doing.
That's just. There you go. You bake that in the oven. Basically, it's just your stewed berries, the bread, and just pop it in the oven. Once about sort of 4 minutes in there.
Amazing. Yeah, no, so I was hoping it would be sold to England, and not only was it sold to England, but it was sold worldwide, you know. And it has to be said the same, you know, the same thing of Merlin. The fact that it's been sold to 180 different territories.
Huge success.
It's huge for the BBC. It's amazing. And it's because it's the same thing in as much as it appeals right across the board. It's from 6 to about 96, and it doesn't talk down. It's funny. It's dark. It's got all the ingredients, and it's a great show. And we watched a special showing last weekend of the first 2 episodes, which are they're not going to be aired back to back, but they are it's a 2-episode storyline. Right. And it's cracking stuff. It's
now, for anybody that hasn't seen it, you play King Arthur's dad. Yeah,
he's a grumpy chap. He's just playing with a sort of slightly limited box of tools. He's an old-fashioned king, old-style father, and he just, rules with a rod of iron.
But I mean, you've done. I mean, reading your CV, you've done everything from sort of theatre, film, television, adverts, bits and pieces. Like most actors, do you sort of yearn for the theatre? The
thing that I love my job, because the bottom line is I get a chance to do so many different varieties of the same thing. This afternoon I'm going off to record a comedy show for the BBC called Bleak Expectations. I mean, it's a great job, and as long as it remains a challenge, and it is always a challenge, I'm just hugely grateful.
Variety is the best thing, I suppose, isn't it?
Fantastic. There's no other job like it. At the same time, when you're out of work, you think you're never going to work again.
There you go. And of course, I've got to mention Little Britain, because I thought that was another. You seem to have a habit of just picking the big.
Well, I nearly turned Little Britain down. It was my agent who'd heard the radio show, because I said, I get it, I get the gag, but it seems to be there was about 3 or 4 sketches in the first pilot show, and I said, but it's sort of it's the same. Each sketch is the same, but it works brilliantly, and the show was. I knew it was either going to be a success or a huge failure. Well, the first time I was actually in the front of the studio audience, and they started playing back some of the stuff they'd already recorded, and my jaw dropped. And I was doing a show at the Savoy Theatre at the time, and there was a lot of dance and singing involved. all the guys in the chorus they'd got BBC Three, and they all started coming in with these catchphrases, and I thought, this is it, I'm made. This is fantastic.
And it went on to do, obviously to go around the theatre again. It went well. Theatre,
I did some of the live show. I did London, and I did a couple of gigs that were close to home. Like I think I did Cardiff actually. It was a fantastic show, and bless them, they sort of put me on the sort of the best spot of the night, which was right at the end, before the curtain, and suddenly I come on, and the roof.
And going back to Merlin, do you think it's one of those storylines that's just going to keep running into a full?
They've got a plan. They've got a plan. It may extend, but originally the plan was for 5 years, and it's sort of the actual story arcs are all built into it. And in each season, there are specific sort of landmark moments that we all know from the legend. That they will then sort of fold into the story. It's brilliant because every time one comes up, you go, oh, that's how they introduced Lancelot. That's how they introduced the Sword and the Stone and all that stuff. But it's like Smallville meets Camelot. It's ultimately what happens if a young Merlin meets a young Arthur, and their destinies are multitasking. This is
multitasking.
Yeah,
I do all the washing up while you've been saying that as well. So what else have you been up to apart from obviously the comedy?
I fitted in a guest appearance in a little movie that's coming out next year called The Great Ghost Rescue, which is it's very, very funny. It's a French director. It's unlike any. It's based on a best-selling kids novel, but I think it's got some really. I'm actually playing Prime Minister, but I get possessed by a Scottish warrior.
Because didn't you guest in Sweeney Todd as well? Didn't you?
Yeah, that didn't quite work out. I was one of the. We were basically supposed to sing what is normally the chorus, and we were ghosts. There were 7 of us, 6 of us or 7 of us. I can't remember. Right. And unfortunately,
that got chopped.
It got chopped. I got sort of elevated to this walk-on part to see my character before he gets killed, and that's all that remained of it. It was rather sad because we recorded it all and it sounded beautiful. Amazing.
There you go.
There you go.
Well,
that's show business.
That's show business. There you go. You better to do it live. They can't edit it. Right? Right. There you go. So basically, we've made a little fresh custard sauce. Basically, that's fresh egg custard sauce, milk, cream, vanilla, sugar,
yum,
and egg yolks. And then I can serve this. Basically, we've got the custard ready, we've got my ice cream, a little bit of stewed fruit, and then going back over to our charlotte, which is over here. And it really doesn't take very long, this, to cook.
You did say apple at the beginning. You meant.
Did I say?
Blackberry.
Well, traditionally, of course, it is apple charlotte.
But you meant blackberry.
I meant
it. Look at that.
So the idea is that you press it down, and then grabbing this, make sure you compact it down, and then tip it out. Oh. There you go. Just lift out, and then you put a little bit of your custard on there to go with it. And then you've got your stewed berries, which you've got to serve some of those to go with it.
I hope Daisy's watching. Daisy's my youngest daughter, who has taken to cooking with a flair, and we'll be having this.
Well, if she does this, you'll be sick of it in 2 weeks. Because there's plenty of berries around, but some ice cream there. You just put that with it. But the idea of that is served warm with the cold and everything else. Dive into that.
I will
get you some knives and forks.
That's not really fish. Selfish.
Tell us what you think.
Knives and forks.
But plenty of butter on the bread. Stop it from sticking. If you don't put enough on, it does tend to catch. So you can obviously do it in the large one. And the berries stuff stew down. But if you're going to use apples, stew them a little bit beforehand. Happy with that?
That's gorgeous.
There you go.